A man was driving without paying attention to the road and nearly hit a black bear crossing his path. He instinctively tried to swerve, but the wet pavement caused him to lose control of the car. At that moment, Mike's vehicle struck a rock and veered straight into the woods. As it happened, a woman had wandered into those same woods because she desperately needed to relieve herself. That's when the accident occurred. Mike rushed out to check the damage, only to be horrified by what he saw: a woman lying dead on the ground. Just then, the woman's husband heard the commotion and came running over, arriving just in time to witness the scene. Mike stepped forward to explain, but at that very moment, the husband accidentally walked into a thick tree branch and collapsed to the ground, dead on the spot. Mike stood there in shock. He hadn't done a thing, yet somehow 2 people had died right in front of him in less than a minute. Though he was already 70 years old, this was the first time he'd ever experienced anything so sudden and catastrophic. After a brief moment of reflection, Mike decided to flee the scene. There wasn't a soul around. No one would ever know what happened. Shaken, Mike returned home. During dinner, his wife Mary noticed the scratches on his face and asked what had happened. Mike told her the whole story. Mary's first reaction was to ask why he hadn't called the police. After all, it was clearly an accident. He hadn't killed anyone on purpose. Mike explained that his car wasn't insured. If he reported it, the compensation costs could bankrupt them. After hearing this, Mary asked a strange question. Did you touch their car? Once she confirmed that her husband's fingerprints were indeed on the vehicle, Mary immediately drove Mike back to the scene. While wiping down the fingerprints, they stumbled upon a shocking discovery. Inside the car was an expensive handbag. Clearly, the owner was wealthy. Mary's curiosity got the better of her, and she popped open the trunk. Sure enough, there was a tennis racket and a duffel bag. When they unzipped the bag, they were stunned to find it stuffed with cash, 2 million euros in total. As it turned out, this accident had led them to an unexpected fortune. The owners were dead. That money was as good as theirs now. But how could they take it without getting caught? Mary came up with a plan right away. No bodies, no deaths. No deaths, no crime. If they got rid of the corpses, they could quietly pocket the cash. Under Mary's direction, Mike went to deal with the man's body. But when he actually stood over that cold corpse, he froze up and had to call his wife over for help. Once they finished, they loaded the bodies into the BMW and drove them back to the house. Back home, Mary carefully counted the cash in the bag. As for the bodies, she figured she'd deal with them later. Meanwhile, Mike rummaged through the designer handbag, expecting to find something valuable. Instead, he pulled out a handgun. He accidentally squeezed the trigger and the bullet whizzed right past his wife, leaving a bullet hole in the wall. They locked eyes, the same terrifying thought crossing both their minds. Why would ordinary people carry a gun? Was this money dirty? Just as panic set in, there was a knock at the door. The couple froze. If they were discovered now, it was all over. Mary quickly stuffed the cash back into the bag and told Mike to clean up the table while she answered the door. To their surprise, it was the town sheriff. He'd stopped by late at night just to pick up a Christmas tree they'd been making for him. Inside, Mike stared at the cash on the table and the bullet hole in the wall, instantly understanding his wife's unspoken signal. When the sheriff walked in, the money and the gun were practically right under his nose, while Mike stood against the wall, using his body to cover the bullet hole. If the sheriff decided to look inside that bag, their secret would be blown wide open. Strangely enough, the sheriff didn't seem suspicious at all, though he did find it odd that Mike kept leaning against the wall like that. Mike had his excuse ready. He'd been driving all day and his back was killing him. He just needed to stand for a while. They'd known each other for years, so the sheriff didn't think twice about it. The sheriff then followed Mike outside to load up the Christmas tree. That's when Mike suddenly realized the body they'd brought back was still lying out there, 2 feet sticking out in plain sight. Thinking fast, he positioned himself to block the view and narrowly avoided disaster. After finally sending the sheriff on his way, the couple immediately went online to search for ways to dispose of a body, and actually found a few options. One method was feeding the remains to pigs. Pigs eat just about anything and leave little trace, but it takes time. Another option was dissolving the bodies in sulfuric acid. Fast but complicated and dangerous. Then Mary had a better idea. Early the next morning, they found a boat and loaded the bodies onto it, heading upriver. That stretch of water was known for salmon runs, and salmon attract black bears, bears that would devour the corpses. It was efficient, low risk, and left almost no evidence. To make sure the bears would come, they even slathered the bodies with a thick layer of honey.